Hello and welcome back to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson, writer for UCLA on SI. Today we're going to be talking about Skyy Clark's role moving forward. This is kind of a part two. I've talked about him before, but after they lost to Indiana, the Bruins need him back bad. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone who is tuned in right now, whether it's YouTube, Apple Music, or Spotify. Either one, it means a lot to me. So let's get right into it. So Indiana was able to beat UCLA 98-97 in double overtime. And the biggest factor for the Bruins losing that game was their lack of depth. That is something that is not very contended, or there's not much contention when it comes to that, right? Indiana had, I think, 3 people who fouled out in that game, and they still were able to hang with UCLA in overtime. Sicily, to name one, freshman who was able to score the game-winning free throws. He gave UCLA a lot of trouble in that overtime. Obviously, Lamar Wilkerson was kind of that hero, but still the point stands. UCLA does not have the depth right now to make a big push in the Big Ten, much less the NCAA tournament. And kind of what I mean by that is UCLA's depth is terrible right now. We have Jamar Brown, Brandon Williams, Steven Jamerson. I would say Eric Frenny, but he has not played minutes. I think he's played 2 minutes in the last 2 games, both of which came against Oregon. I thought he would step up, especially with Skyy Clark being out and these starters playing, those crazy minutes. Dent played, 50 in this one. Trent Perry, I believe, played 42, something around that. But still, that just goes to show how, UCLA just does not have depth. I can't put it any cleaner. And it really hurts that Skyy Clark's out because, when he's in the lineup and, you have Trent Perry coming off the bench, then UCLA's depth is considerably more scary, because if you have Trent Perry in with Dent or, Trent Perry in with Clark, I mean, you have a lot of, chances to do something good with the lineup, right? Brandon Williams in for Bilodeau for a couple minutes, or Daly. The same can be said for Xavier Booker, or, Steven Jamerson. When he's playing well, Jamerson kind of struggled in this one. I think he played 1 minute, had 2 personal fouls and a turnover. So like I said, that's a part of the problem. But still, when Skyy Clark comes back, UCLA is going to look a lot different, right? I know before UCLA was running that 3 guard, beat you in transition because, there's just more mobility on the court. But again, we didn't really see that. When he was injured, right? Freeney didn't step up in his role. UCLA wasn't running that. It was, Dent, Perry, Bilodeau, Daly, and then Booker at the 5. But moving forward, when Skyy Clark is in, it's going to give UCLA a lot more options, right? They can run that 2-guard lineup, 3-guard lineup with Bilodeau and Daly on the court. Either one, it doesn't matter. UCLA will have success when Skyy Clark comes back. Because looking back at that Indiana game, what UCLA desperately needed was a player who could hit those big time shots. Obviously Trent Perry has filled in to do that. I think he went 3 for 5 from 3 in that game. But still, when you look at when UCLA went 0 for 11, that was ultimately the turning point in this game where Indiana was able to go up by 10. They were honestly lucky that it didn't go up much more. But still, right there, if they had a guy like Skyy Clark who's shooting 45% from 3, UCLA is going to have a chance, right? Nick Dorn, is that kind of 3-point specialist. And you saw how much he hurt UCLA in that game, 26 points. I think he made 6 3-pointers. That was the tipping point for the Bruins. There's no doubt about it. Without Dorn's impact and not having someone on the other side to kind of match that, we were hoping maybe Bilodeau would step up and kind of do that, but he didn't. That's why we need Skyy Clark, someone who's fast, hardworking, good on defense, gritty. That's going to make the biggest difference for the Bruins. And teams that have depth are going to make deep runs, right? And especially with how much minutes UCLA's guards have played. I believe this is 8 games where the Bruins guards have played 35 minutes. I'm talking about Dent and Perry. So that's not going to be sustainable come March. I mean, UCLA could still make the tournament for sure. Win over Rutgers, maybe USC, maybe sneak one against Michigan, Michigan State, maybe even Nebraska if they play their best basketball of the season, of course. But still, it's not going to mean much, right? If your Cards are coming in playing, 10 plus games to end the season, playing 35 plus minutes, they're not going to have fresh legs at all. And I mean, it's a quick turnaround for the Bruins, Saturday to Tuesday. That's hard. So we need, Skyy Clark to come back into the lineup immediately. Without Clark, again, we saw what happened against Indiana. Well, they did hold their own for most of the game. Still, it was just not enough. And when you're kind of in a situation where, where Indiana has 3 players out due to foul trouble and just fouled out, UCLA should have been able to win the game because of that. I think that goes without kind of being said. Excuse me. But still, huge missed opportunity for the Bruins here. We knew Indiana was a good team, and when depth kills you, that cannot happen. And this might be a broader reflection on Mick Cronin and how he kind of builds his teams, right? We don't have a really big man, which, another big man, no matter who it is, who is a true center, who can give us that physicality when Booker can't, that will win us games. But we don't have that. We have Jamerson, who, like I said, didn't play that well. And then you're forcing, 6'8", Brandon Williams there, 6'7", Jamar Brown. Bilodeau will get some minutes there, obviously. But still, they don't have that center who is going to help UCLA win. But again, depth is just such a big issue for the Bruins moving forward. I really don't know how they'll be able to recover without Clark. Like I said, he has a hamstring injury. He is trending to miss a few more games. Obviously, if we can get him back against Rutgers, that'll be great. Same thing anytime during those ranked opponents, but sooner rather than later, because it will take time, for him to gel back into that lineup, especially with the Bruins guards playing, 50 minutes against Indiana, 35 plus in each of those games, and Dent's logging big minutes. So it's just a matter of getting, Bilodeau, Daly kind of well versed with that lineup with Skyy Clark. And, it's hard to kind of say Clark is going to jump back in and it's going to be like how it was at normal. That's not going to be the case at all. Because like I said, it is hard to kind of get back into that stride after missing, 8-9 games this season. But the good news for Bruins that kind of comes out of this is that there is a chance that Skyy Clark does get some eligibility next year, which could be huge. If they build around Skyy Clark, another year for Skyy Clark to kind of develop. We've already seen what he's done, averaging 13.5 points per game, UCLA's second leading scorer this season, while shooting 45.5% from the three-point line. So like I said, another year for development would be good for the Bruins, but again, that's looking far into the future, and that's not necessarily a given, right? But without Clark in this season, if he doesn't come back soon, right, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We throw him in, he's not going to gel perfectly right away, but again, we might get eligibility the year prior or the next year in 2027. So I don't know, it's hard for the Bruins to kind of decide what to do here. Obviously, you want Clark back, but still, if they don't get him back soon, this season could be over. And again, you're wasting a season with, Bilodeau, Dent, and, Eric Daly Jr. They're all getting pretty old and are probably going to leave here soon, especially if this year goes bad. I'm sure even if they do play another season, which I'm not sure what their eligibility is, but they will be a hot commodity no matter where they go, NBA or whatever. They're great players overall. But that's going to kind of round out this podcast. UCLA does need Skyy Clark to come back very soon, or this season really could be over. The guards are tired. Mick Cronin's getting frustrated. Things like that are going to play a huge factor in how UCLA kind of moves forward for UCLA. But anyways, that's the end of this podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson. I hope you guys have a good day. And as always, forwards up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.